$8,800 on a repair bill at my most recent visit to Freightliner. Welcome back to another episode of Smooth Operator Trucking, where we create the dream 1 mile at a time. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys about my most recent experience at a Freightliner dealership. Keep watching to the end because it might not be what you think.
One, two, three, four.
All right, so if you guys follow my channel, you know that for the last couple of months, I've been having a lot of truck issues. Just one thing after another. Broke down in New Mexico, was there for like 10 days before I actually got repaired and got back on the road. So picked up a load in Amarillo, Texas that was going to somewhere in North Carolina. And I went to go pick up the load. The truck ran fine. Once I picked up the load, started heading east, started having power issues. And it was real subtle at first, and it started to get worse and worse. So I stopped at a Freightliner in Little Rock, Arkansas. I sat there all day until 6 o'clock, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're not gonna be able to get around to even diagnosing your truck today. Can you come back in the morning?" I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate it, but I've got to hit the road." So I'm like, "All right, I can keep pushing the truck." I get back on the road, start heading east, and I get a little sleepy. So I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna stop at this truck stop um, in Villa Rica. Hope I'm saying that right, Villa Rica, Georgia." And that just so happens there was a Freightliner dealership there also. And the thing about it was this Freightliner dealership, like, it's not on my Trucker Path app, and I couldn't even find it on Google Maps or Apple Maps. It's a very new, very very new Freightliner dealership. So I go take a nap. They open up. I go over there, tell them what's going on, and I mean this place is actually very very nice. They've got really nice driver's lounge. They've got an outdoor fire pit. They got an area where you can go and take a nap. You can wash your clothes. They've even got showers. Um, the only other place I've seen like this was right outside of Houston. That Freightliner dealership was really nice. So this is Peach State Freightliners of Villa Rica. All right. So go in. I let them know what's going on, and they escort me upstairs to the driver's lounge. Shout out to Miss Pie. She was amazing. She gave me a tour of the driver's lounge and made me feel really comfortable. They've got snacks up there. They've got a soda machine, like the ones that you can get ice and then you can sit there and choose your drinks. It was very, very, very nice, and all of it was free. I say free. And so I was like, okay. This is pretty impressive. I'm just like, yeah, this place. I'm about to get. I'm about to get. I'm about to spend a lot of money here. Those are my initial thoughts. Okay. Really, at first I was thinking I just needed my wastegate actuator on the turbo to be calibrated. Honestly, that's what I was thinking. What the main issue was. So about 2 hours go by, and they do a really good job of keeping you up to date. Miss Pie comes in. It's like, hey, they're gonna move your truck to the main shop. They've already done like I guess like pretty much the pre-inspect or the initial diagnosis, and realize they need to send it to the main shop. And I appreciate that. There are some of the dealerships out there that as soon as you come in, I guess they guarantee at least an initial diagnostic within the first couple hours. And I'm not sure if that's a way to get some kind of money out of you, or to get you in there and keep you there. I don't know. Like I said, the place I went to in Little Rock, they didn't do that. The truck just literally sat there out in the parking lot and they never looked at it. So I didn't have to pay any money. So that was good, but I wasted a whole day. So Miss Pie took really good care of me. Like I said, there was free snacks and everything. A few hours go by, and she lets me know like, hey, Um, basically, she sends me, basically they'll email you or text you, or she'll come in and talk to you and tell you how much it's going to cost and what the repairs are. So here's what we got going on. We got needs injector harness, needs a number 4 injector. There's an exhaust leak coming from the manifold, so basically and manifold exhaust leak, and rear right wheel seal was leaking. And I guess apparently it wasn't leaking to the point to where I could see it during my pre-trip. So I'm glad they caught that. I mean, because obviously that's something that absolutely 100% needs to get fixed right now. And so, I look at the estimate and it's $8,800. And I'm like, yeah, that's way too much. And also, I'm supposed to deliver this load by tomorrow morning. And they're saying they can't even get the parts in until Monday. And it wouldn't be Tuesday, possibly Wednesday, until they were finished with my truck. So it was really at that point more of a time thing than a money thing. Although obviously, $8,800 is nothing to sneeze at. And I'm like, I could probably get this done for half the price somewhere else. So I declined the repairs, and I was like, look, can you just adjust my wastegate actuator and let me get back on the road? And so she's okay, I'll let the service manager know. So I don't know, probably about 30 minutes later, the service manager walks up, and I'm like, oh Lord, what is this all about? And he sits down and talks to me. First of all, let me back up a little bit. Apparently, I was their 100th customer. And so Miss Pie gave me a gift bag with all these goodies, in the gift bag. I got a grill set, I got a pocket knife, of course a Freightliner hat, notepad. What else? What else is in there? And two bottle openers. So it was actually pretty cool. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I guess they do that for every 100 customers they get. And so, anyways, I'm there all day. The service manager comes up to speak to me, and he's going over the estimate and everything. He's like, "Look, you're my 100th customer, and we want to take care of you. I can't just let you walk out of here without getting anything done by you being my 100th customer." He's like, "What if I tell you I can do these repairs for $4,000?" And I'm looking at him like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah, $4,000." The labor rate there was $238 an hour. What he proposed doing was taking down to, I believe it was like $98 an hour. And I'm like, man, I'm from Chicago, so when something like this happens, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm being hustled. You know what I mean? Because like someone walks up to you on the street like, hey, yo, man, I say this, necklace or whatever for $1,000, and you're like, no, I'm good. They're like, I give to you for 100. You know what I mean? You're still getting hustled. So I was like, I'm still getting hustled, even though how can they go from $8,800 down to $4,000? And basically, what he did was go down on the labor rate. Instead of 238, he went down to $98. The parts are going to be the same no matter what. So I'm like, okay. And still, I'm kind of like, yeah, but I'm supposed to deliver this load tomorrow morning. And I've already had to repower my load before that because I broke down. Now, possibly, I'm going to have to repower this load. I'm just going to be digging myself deeper and deeper in the hole. But then I was like, man, the truck is already here, and it's going to be hard for me to find somewhere else to get this done and pay $4,000. Probably, even though I get it at an independent shop, it'd probably still be like 4,500 or whatever and all that good stuff. And then depending on where it's at, it might not come with a warranty. So I thought about it, for 5 or 10 minutes, and I told Ms. Potty, let the service manager know to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. Only thing about it was the parts, like I said, weren't going to come in until Monday, and the truck wouldn't be ready until Tuesday, and I think it was a Thursday, and I was supposed to deliver that load on that Friday. So I go ahead and tell them to pull the trigger. I started making arrangements to, do other things, whatever. And I'm just like, this really sucks. But it is what it is. $4,000, you can't beat that. So in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, they're gonna go in, they're gonna, tear it down some more, and as they're repairing it, they're gonna start finding all other things that need to be repaired, or they're gonna say needed this part, needed that part, and next thing you know, I'm probably gonna be back at five, six, seven, maybe even $8,000 once it's all said and done. That's kind of what I was thinking in my head. So I come back on Tuesday. I get a phone call that they're really not going to be ready with the truck until Wednesday. They say it's going to be ready Tuesday, but it won't be ready for pickup until Wednesday morning. I'm like, make that make sense? But I guess like they kind of start shutting things down around 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever. And so they need to test drive it, and then they'd have all the paperwork done and ready for me to, come pick the truck up Wednesday morning. I sat there all day on that Tuesday, and pretty much like kind of ask for updates, not bugging them, but just like every couple hours, like, hey, let me get an update. And Miss Pie was real good. Actually, most of the time I didn't even have to ask for one. She would just come and give me one automatically. So right after lunch, she comes by and say, "Hey, your truck is gonna be ready today. Your truck's gonna be ready for you to roll today." Now by this time, another driver had already come to repower that load, so I lost money on that. But it is what it is. Um, so the truck is ready, and she sends me over. I go downstairs to talk to the counter to figure out how much I want to have to pay. And how much do you think I had to pay? $4,033. The bill came out to be $4,033. I was shocked. Like, I was extremely shocked. Now, hope I don't sound naive or gullible or whatever, but I mean, to get the wiring harness, the injector harness, the injector, um, replace the gasket for the manifold exhaust gas leak, and to fix the wheel seal leak on the rear right. I mean, I think that's a pretty good price. At least it is, especially from $8,800. I think even if I went somewhere else, I probably would have paid the same amount. So I was really really impressed. I mean, the facilities were very nice, and they took care of me, and they brought the bill down from $8,800 to $4,000. I was just super impressed. So, normally I don't do like a review or anything, but I did want to share like my experience with this Freightliner. It's Peach State Freightliner in Villa Rica, Georgia. And as for Miss Pie, I'm telling you, they will take care of you in there. As far as like making you comfortable while you wait for your truck to get repaired and keeping you updated. I've had that's only my first experience with them, on one only experience with them. It was pretty good. You just never know what you're gonna get when you go into any repair shop or you go into any Freightliner or whatever. Now, I can't promise you they'll give you the same deal, because unless maybe you're their 200 customer or something like that. But I was pretty impressed with the fact that they were able to go down that much on the bill. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I got a good deal, or do you think I still kind of got hustled or shafted or whatever? Or do you think I came out pretty good? Oh, and by the way, the truck is actually running really good. I mean, the truck is running good. I can hear that turbo whining like it's supposed to. I'm assuming, by having that exhaust leak, it wasn't getting enough exhaust in there, and then that turbo to kind of like spool up like it's supposed to. The old truck doesn't have great pulling power, anyways, but I can definitely tell the difference. Now, what is frustrating is, I'm still up in the air about the old truck versus new truck. Some guys swear by a new truck, some guys swear by an old truck. It's still really difficult for me right now to decide the better way to go. I mean, sometime next year or the year after that, I probably am going to be looking to get a newer truck and experiment with that. I know these old Detroit 60s will go and go and go. Initially, when I got the truck, I think the guy just did a really bad overhaul, so I've been having to deal with that. Had to replace the head gasket every 6 to 8 months, because of the work that he did on the job. Or excuse me, because of the crappy work that he did on the engine. But I guess for me, what's frustrating is having to replace the same parts over and over again. Yeah, it's cheaper to replace parts on the older truck in the Detroit 60 than it would be on a DD, 13, 15, 16, whatever, or a Cascadia. But I'm assuming that once you replace that part, you don't have to worry about it again for another 250,000, 500,000 miles. And as long as you're making sure that you are keeping your DPF system clean or whatever, I mean, the truck should be pretty reliable. That's what I'm thinking. But with this old truck, I'm on my third turbo. I've had to replace the wastegate actuator on it twice. I've definitely have replaced the exhaust manifold gasket at least 3 times. And correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever you replace the head gasket on the truck, you have to remove the exhaust manifold. So that should have been a new gasket right there. I actually just had the head gasket replaced on this truck probably 4, 5 months ago, and it really hadn't ran that much. And so I'm thinking that when you replace that head gasket, you also have to replace the manifold, exhaust manifold gasket. I could be wrong, and I hate to sound silly, but I could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. So that's something else to think about, but that kind of sucks. Every 4 to 6 months, I'm having to do something with the air condition. I've had to replace the alternator on this truck probably about 3 or 4 times. I mean, it just seems like I got it. It's a truck. There's things you have to repair. The air dryer, I've had to replace that about 3 times, and I try my best to keep it serviced and running properly and drain the air tanks and all that good stuff. So it's like things that I'm having to replace over and over and over again. It's kind of frustrating. It's kind of like, okay, if I had a newer truck, yeah, the parts might cost more, but spending less time in the shop and not having to worry about replacing it every year, I think I might be better off. I don't know, but that's what I'm kind of thinking right now. So we'll see. But anyway, so that's my little bit of me venting a little bit of my frustration. I mean, I'm kind of up in the air. Even if I do get a new truck, I still like to keep the old girl since this is my first actual work truck. But it just I'm spending too much time in the shops or repairing and doing the same repairs over and over again, and it's becoming quite frustrating. But anyways, I'll do some more research on that and figure out the way forward. But again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Um, like I always say, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Hard times don't last, hard truckers do. And last, but definitely not least, stay smooth, my friends.